Good check.
Lovely there. Marcos, a copy? Marcos. What's your 220, sir?
Capital opening equipment.
10 4, I love gum. I need info.
Don't block it. Don't block it. Just go.
10 4, sir.
7 p.m. on a Halloween night.
Okay, sir,
No
can you
one's
counter off? I
out on
can't
the
hear you.
street and no one is answering their doors. This makes me so sad for the younger generation. And when she continues to walk around as the sun sets, there is not a single soul walking around. There are no Halloween decorations outside of people's houses. It's just empty. I remember when I was a kid, I used to be so jealous of American kids because it seemed like over in the States, Halloween was just such a more widely accepted and beloved holiday to celebrate. Because if you celebrated
We're taking.
Halloween
Helly's taking
during your
heavy
whole life
1010.
growing up, you
Next
were the
the
minority
crates.
and you were ridiculed basically, and you still kind of are
Classes
sometimes.
in
But
grey and
now,
black car.
there is nothing to be
Heavy
jealous of
1010 near the
because
fire
now,
station.
not even the
Between
Ten
fire
four.
station and
celebrating
containers.
it anymore. And I know that this might sound weird,
It's
but
10
when
units to the
Americans
containers, please.
themselves are
That's
throwing
black
up holidays
3DC
like
and
this
second.
any other day, the
What's the
fact
container,
is
sir?
you're
About
still
station
that
station stop
something is
mission.
incredibly
Near
wrong.
fuel station. Fuel
Guys,
station.
what
10
happened
4,
Fast,
sir.
fast.
Coming now.
this is my
I
first
don't see
year
anybody
cleaning
at the
the
fuel
house,
station.
and I was so excited to
They're
pass
at the
out
containers,
candy.
will be.
I spent
Black
20
and grey
minutes
car.
in the candy aisle deciding which ones the kids would be
There's.
excited about. I
I
bought
couldn't see
all
properly. It was
kinds,
either 2
even
to
the
4
new
people in it.
sizes. I got two
Best one to
trick-or-treaters.
ATC, one through
That's
7.
it.
Request information to
She
land at
bought
last before after
kinder
successful
bueno
stop
for the
mission.
trick-or-treaters. Oh my god. Because these kids would rather rock their brains on their devices all night like they do every other day of the year, they missed out on a free, full-sized Kinder Bueno.
10 will be.
But in all
I need backup. I need a backup at the fuel station.
Back up, fuel station. Heavy 10.
She said, I don't know, one of the kids was like 15 and one of them was 5 or 6. And his mom said he had never been trick-or-treating and didn't want to go.
2 enemies are out.
10 4.
Let me run that back for you. A kid on Halloween night
No, no,
didn't
all
want
are
to
dead.
dress up as his favorite character and collect baskets of candy for free by trick-or-treating in his neighborhood all night with his friends. What the hell? Oh my god. Have any of you ever heard anything as bizarre as that? The kids don't want to go trick-or-treating anymore. How is this even real? Because along with Easter and Christmas, Halloween is the one other day out of the entire year that kids really look forward to because of the candy.
Guys, did you handcuff him?
Getting ready for Halloween when every year there's less decorations, less kids out trick-or-treating, less talk about Halloween plans, and less events and activities all month long. And yeah, I'm gonna say it. I don't care if I sound like a boomer. The reason that Halloween doesn't look like this anymore is because of the constant technological
Guys, go to
advances
gates.
that we have.
Nelson, go to gates.
Trick-or-treating when you just sit in front of
Yeah, there
nighttime
are.
lights.
Oh, there is
Why
one more
would
trespasser.
homeowners
Check
try
that.
to get in the spirit
Jason,
by
come here.
decorating their
Jason, come here.
houses
Jason.
and giving out
Come to the
candy
fuel station.
if nobody is out on the streets to come and collect it
Sit
or
in
come
the
and see
wait.
their house? No one
Sit
is
in the
trying
wait.
anymore. I am genuinely so sad because
Sit
there
in the
was an
wait.
old lady who prepared little surprise bags with sweets and
Jason,
nobody
copy.
came
Not
to
get
her
some
door.
copy.
And she gave me all of those and I was
Jason,
the
are
only
copy?
trick-or-treater who came.
Jason
And
is,
the reason that this has
I
become
think,
such a major problem is
1075.
because younger
Billy,
kids,
how copy?
mainly Gen Alpha, think that Halloween is cringe and lame now. But when it's all the kids
Wait,
trying to
let
go
me check
trick-or-treating
Jason.
to keep the tradition somewhat alive, they get made fun of and get told that they're too old to be going trick-or-treating. So there is literally no one going out because they're either judging people for going trick-or-treating or there are people afraid of being judged for going trick-or-treating. It is a vicious cycle and it was not this complicated even just 5 years ago. I mean, you know that is a real
The Jason is 1075.
the take one bowl for people who leave the candy outside of their door isn't even empty at the end of the night when it's time to go to bed. The take one bowl was full. Guys, I don't think you understand how truly devastating that actually is. In the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, this was unheard of. If you left an entire bowl of candy on your porch unattended with a sign that said take one, it would have been raided by one single group of kids who put it all into a pillowcase and ran off. Now look,
Air Force High Command, no copy.
nobody
Good call, listen first.
Can I go for scout, sir?
And the sign never gets seen, and the candy just
Yeah, you can.
remains outside.
10-4. Can you
Did you
watch the
get
card?
did you get your training?
Has to be bought back
Yeah, I
in.
got my training. I have done
When
like
you have kids
2
who are
scouts, sir.
sneaking outside
Alright,
of
yeah, you
their
can take more
own
scouts.
house to take some of their
Okay, sir.
own
Can
candy so
you,
that their
can
mothers
any
don't
hacker
get
man watch
sad
cards,
with
please?
nobody coming to their house to collect any candy, that is when you know it's bad. It just saddens me that these younger kids will never know what it means
Oh,
to
didn't check it out, sir.
experience a real Halloween.
10-4.
Because as
Waiting
the
for you, sir.
unknown said, Halloween is dead now. They'll only be able to see what Halloween used to be like if they watch a Halloween movie from a bygone era. And then that saddens me even more because it's just a glimpse into what they could have experienced and missed out on.
Mission
Now,
10 to
let's just
ETC
because of climate
157 requesting
or
permission to take
whether
off
we
from
just
basketball
live in a
court for
post-COVID world
scout
now
mission.
where
Over.
so many things have changed, or
Granted.
because of the rise
10-4.
of trunk-or-treating that has destroyed tradition, I'm not sure. But there is nothing more painful to watch than people being forced to eat the candy that they would desperately give out to other
We
people.
have units down at Southgate.
10-17 for Southgate.
This man was joyful that he finally got to move into a bigger city and hand Halloween candy out. So excited that he sat outside on a lawn chair and waited hours into the night for trick-or-treaters that never came. He was raising his hand to call attention. He was standing up to let people know that he had candy to give out. Hey, you ready to come inside? His wife had to call him back inside, and he fell asleep on the couch eating candy that he wanted to give to his community. That video genuinely made my heart ache. Halloween was never and should never be this depressing, and we need to find some way to restore it to what it once was before it gets even worse than it already was this year. I know that it's not Halloween anymore, but to anybody watching this video right now, please keep celebrating Halloween. Don't let it die. Please keep decorating your houses. Please keep buying candy. Please keep the spirit alive. I know it seems like all hope is lost.
En achetant reconditionné sur Back Market, vous avez 30 jours pour changer d'avis et retourner votre produit. Mais bon, comme vous skippez toujours les pubs.
DHS has identified more than 600 migrants with possible ties to the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua, and more than 100 of those had enough gang.
So as time goes on, we keep learning how this Venezuelan gang's infiltration of America just doesn't seem to stop. And although stories of their exploits, like taking over apartments in Colorado, have gotten national attention, the same thing's been happening here in New York City, only it hasn't been reported on to the same extent, revealing that this gang's activities in America, especially sanctuary cities, go much further and deeper than any of us have been told.
Old male cameras were allowed inside this office space. Police say had been illegally converted into a brothel.
There was women everywhere.
Doctor telling me a major Venezuelan gang is behind the increase in crime.
Grainy cell phone video shot by frightened tenants shows men fighting in common areas where children play. So this has been kicked in. Withdrawn. I first talked to Falatia's owner, John Barker, back in June when he showed me some of the units that had been broken into and lived in. They're also known as TDA. What makes them so dangerous is that they have a particular focus on human smuggling, and they focus on preying on migrants.
Police arrested 8 migrants believed to be squatting inside of the basement of this home that you see right here, but it's what investigators would find inside. Multiple weapons, along with a 7-year-old who was playing inside of that same room. They are being investigated right now, all tied to a string of robberies.
This is like a microcosm of the migrant crisis right here.
Yeah, it's kind of like playing whack-a-mole. You know, we shut this one down, she may go down the next one.
So of the 600 plus possible gang members identified by our government, 100 of them are confirmed Tren de Aragua. But what nobody's talking about is if we've already located over 600 of these gang members in our country and they're already making national headlines, their real numbers could be much higher than that. A problem that's especially prominent in sanctuary cities like New York, where over 212,000 asylum seekers have come, many fleeing poverty for a better future. And although most asylum seekers have no intention of committing crime or joining gangs, this gang has still been successful in growing its numbers here, recruiting individuals left homeless by our shelter system after their temporary stays expire, or through coercion, intimidation, or threats. And they're doing this by controlling the very shelters set up by New York to keep asylum seekers safe by smuggling weapons inside food delivery cartons and backpacks into these places. A problem magnified by New York's sanctuary city policies that ban police from entering or patrolling our shelters to maintain law and order, which essentially makes each asylum shelter we have a possible criminal headquarters if armed gang members manage to take it over. But the real reason the growth of this gang is such an issue is because it's allowed them to take over more than just shelters. Now they're taking over apartments, they're taking over offices, and they're running all kinds of illegal businesses here in New York, just like they are in other parts of the country. Only it's almost like the New York stories about this have been glossed over by mainstream news all year. And sadly, as you're about to see, after police shut these criminals down, the people they've determined to exploit have nowhere to run. Because our laws guarantee that New York City not just be a sanctuary for
Listen 10 to ETC, what is 70% permission to land a basketball court after a successful scout mission. Over.
Granted.
Trespassers on the base. Guys, we got trespassers on the base somewhere. The lieutenant was down.
So here we've got a bunch of your typical New York City apartment buildings.
10-4, I'm going to the south gate.
Downstairs you've got office spaces.
No one's there at the
But
moment.
here, when these gangs get their hands on an abandoned place like this, they don't use it the same way they might in other parts of America. And the apartments and stores they get here in New York, they're actually used as part of a much larger crime wave. Much larger than the stories that are all over the news concerning other parts of the country.
Grainy cell phone video shot by frightened tenants shows men fighting in common areas where children play.
See that there's no glass anymore? So this has been kicked in. It's gone.
I first talked to Palatia's owner, John Barker, back in June when he showed me some of the units that had been broken into and lived in.
So, this video is from a Texas apartment complex where members of this gang took over a whole bunch of units. But sadly, as you're about to see, this is nothing compared to what gangs are doing with apartments here in New York. Now, that's certainly not to say that we don't have gangs and squatters taking over apartments here by force. We've had that all year long in this city. But here, most of our apartments are occupied, which means a gang can't just come inside and have a whole bunch of places all to themselves, which is what they've been doing in other parts of the country. They've been finding vacant units, taking them over. But here, that's not really possible. Only 1.4% of apartments are even available to be rented, and what they need here is something like a storefront like this.
Every 10 minutes Southgate, possibly tomorrow.
It's behind the increasing crime.
Try me 10-17.
Back up now.
10-4, I'm coming to the south gate now.
No eyes on the street.
So here you can see that if these gang members find a place that's available for them to use, they've got a different purpose for it, and that's because the purpose for it here is to live in it, to make money with it, which sometimes involves living in it. But New York is densely populated. You've got people on the streets 24 hours a day walking by, and these are people who have money in their pockets. And with so few apartments being empty, what these gangs have figured out is the best thing they can do is to get their hands on some sort of abandoned storefront or rent one out themselves and use that to produce money. Money which is not exactly
Northgate. If you see a purple chrome car
Northgate?
with an open trunk,
they don't just
future,
exploit
you might be going round to
being
Northgate.
forced to work there. They also end up exploiting the entire local population. No one is benefiting from this, that's for sure, except a growing criminal underworld that probably shouldn't even exist in this country to begin with. And no matter where these criminals happen to locate an apartment, whether it's here in New York, like in this article, or outside of New York, for some reason they tend to destroy it. And it's costing people thousands of dollars. Not just the people that own these places, but the people that lose everything on their way into them.
At the time, he
Yeah, guys,
suspected there
just
was a connection
keep an eye out for that trespasser. He's got a heavy sniper.
Meeting them at the migration station saying we can house you, you can pay us, here's a
Do you know where is he?
So that's exactly what was happening.
He was in a purple car. He left Southgate. He also was carrying a
So what's very interesting here is even though we don't see this exact same type of apartment takeover and destruction in New York, the people who are suffering from this
once with a
being
heavy sniper,
exploited, they're the same
and
people,
then he
the
finished
asylum
me off
seekers,
with
and it's
a
happening to them from the
heavy
very moment they arrive in either place. In Texas, you've got gangs taking advantage of asylum seekers at places meant to help them, and here they're taking over our shelters where they live that are supposed to be helped achieving the American dream. And the exploitation you've got going on here is very frightening. It's not that you have people getting ripped off and scammed for apartments and losing money. Here it's arguably even worse because with gangs pervasive throughout the shelter system that houses vulnerable individuals, including at the main shelter and processing center, the Roosevelt Hotel, which is where every asylee has to check in before they get placed. A system here exists where gangs are tracking people and sizing them up from the moment they set foot in this city. And in some cases, this process may have started before some people even arrived in the city. And while fleeing poverty, these folks may have unknowingly fallen into the hands of criminals since their journey started south of the border. Because remember, they're dealing with smugglers and criminals to get into America in the first place. And who do you think those smugglers and criminals are in league with? The same gangs that are now taking over New York City. So by New York City allowing gang members to take over a shelter system instead of allowing them to take over the back of this Department of Corrections bus, we've got a big problem. And with the bad guys having a ubiquitous footprint all over the world, anyone trying to get away from them won't be able to do that. And that's happening to a lot of asylum seekers. They come here fleeing extreme poverty, fleeing criminals, and then those same criminals are here waiting for them. And nothing is being done to get them off the streets or lock them up. So what happens? They expand their criminal operations, and those criminal operations sadly involve people who other criminals that they're related to have met earlier in that person's journey to America. And the reason they can do this and get away with it here is because even if they're arrested, even if they do get put in the back of one of these correction vans, immigration status is never going to come up, which very well could lead to someone serving out some sentence here for a crime they've committed, but never being turned over to the proper authorities once it ends, allowing an entire industry of criminal exploitation to exist in this city, unlike anywhere else in the United States.
What makes them so dangerous is that they really have
Negativt och äventyr.
smuggling because they're able to leverage their connections and their networks throughout the region, and they focus on preying on victims such as migrants, but they also focus on things like mining, kidnapping, extortion, trafficking.
So this gang, their main thing is apparently trafficking, which they sadly wouldn't be able to do without help from the many sanctuary policies existing in New York. And in this city, when a gang finds an empty apartment or an empty office, they immediately think of how they can fill it with people and use those people to help them profit off the rest of society. One of the first instances of this was a moped gang that had taken over an apartment in the Bronx. They had a whole bunch of people living there and hacking into the phones of people they would steal as they would ride by on their bikes. And now sadly, on Roosevelt Avenue in Queens, we're seeing other forms of exploitation pop up in storefronts that masquerade as legitimate businesses selling something that they may in fact be licensed to sell or offer. And the victims of this system of exploitation, this can be virtually anybody, men, women, teenagers, doesn't matter to these criminals. But in many cases, their victims are people who owe these gangs some sort of debt, usually obtained
Let's have the copy.
into the country initially. Apparently, the cost for someone to bring you across the U.S. border in an unofficial manner is quite expensive, and many people fleeing extreme poverty do not have the resources for that, or run out of resources part of the way through their journey. So what happens? They incur a debt with the wrong people, and they're told that their associates will follow up with them in due time, which happens in New York because we're allowing criminals
this
to
Mughal
stay
Sami
here.
needs training. He does not have training like in previous year.
From New York City, down at the border itself, you've got a criminal apparatus now
Therefore,
that
if you want to meet
extends
him,
between
he's at
both
the South Gate.
places, giving some frightening cohesion to this whole thing. And think of what this means. If you're an asylum seeker and you check into a shelter in New York and there are gang members living in that facility, they could easily be on the lookout for people who owe a debt to the gang that they would then follow up with for payment. And sadly, while they're at it, these gang members are sizing up everybody, even people who don't owe them a debt. A lot of times, what they're doing is they're going to young, vulnerable asylum seekers and they're telling them, join us or we're going to harm your family back home in Venezuela. And what does it look like when someone has to work off this form of payment? Well, they could be working in a physical, illegal business, or they could be doing something else that's illegal. They could be foot soldiers, for example, who are recruited to go out and commit crime. They could also be people who are forced to sell
Gab will be entered from the
on the street. You've got to wonder when you see a woman pulling tools out of a bag that came from Home Depot. Is she there by choice, or is she there because someone's forcing her to be there? And the scary thing is that this report that includes over 600 people with gang affiliations, how do you get on that list? Well, you could be somebody who was forced into indentured servitude to these criminals. Your debt's paid off, but since you were associated with these gangs and had to live the life of a criminal because you owe them some sort of debt, that could tie you to these gangs forever, even though you came to America, to a sanctuary city, looking for safety and looking for the American dream. But now that's not going to happen because you're tied to a criminal organization forever.
What needs to be done to keep more members of this Venezuelan gang or other violent gangs out of the U.S.? Definitely more identification prevention right off the top. In other words, all the agencies need to be working together closely with state law enforcement officials. But we really need to get the prosecutors on board too.
So this former ICE director, he makes a pretty good point that getting rid of this gang, it's a team effort. Remember, they've got their team, which now spans between New York City and the border itself, and we have our team, which includes federal immigration enforcement and local police that might be the first ones to catch these criminals. But the problem is the local police that we have here, they're not allowed to be on the same team as the federal government that might be looking for these people. In fact, as we're learning today, New York's sanctuary policies make it the perfect place for these criminals to come and set up shop. And sure, to an asylum seeker at first, New York might sound great. You get 30 days in a shelter, food, clothing, medical, you get all that, and then hopefully you'll have had time to get back on your feet. But the problem is things aren't really working out that way. There's no plan in place from our city officials to connect asylum seekers with meaningful employment, and our shelters are not part of a bigger strategy that thoroughly helps people become integrated with our economy. But they do help you become integrated with the criminal underworld who's going to be watching you.
Yo, why are you shooting at me?
We've had gang members be reported at many of the adult shelters like Randall's Island. This gang activity is now pervasive, and yes, it's only a small number of people. It's not the majority of asylum seekers, but anybody who's a gang member and is here to exploit people and catch them and track them down, that person is very dangerous. They're going to have a big impact, and they are having a big impact. In some cases, that impact happens when gang members take over apartments, commit crimes, and hurt other residents. It also happens when they commit crimes like movement, snatch and grabs. And now we realize that it's also happening when people who don't intend to commit any of that crime are forced to repay some sort of debt, or just because the gang sees somebody who's 22, 23 years old and says, hey, you better do what we say or there's going to be consequences. What's that person supposed to do? Are they supposed to go tell the police? The police aren't even allowed in our asylum shelters. They're banned. They have to park their police car around the corner from the Roosevelt Hotel. They cannot do foot patrol in there. They cannot track people down.
I got it, sir. Thank you.
That are wanted by the federal government. That's not possible. And those people on the street that are selling things, if the police arrest them, what are they supposed to do? Say, hey, a gang has come after me and is holding me hostage, forcing me to do things? If they do that and the gang finds out, they could suffer real consequences. And in this city, we aren't punishing. We're locking up these gang members. They're allowed to do whatever they want. Of course, if they do something really bad, there could be real consequences. There could be real jail time. They could actually get locked up for a very long time. But that doesn't mean that the ability of these gang members to threaten people with weapons inside of a shelter or to tell people that they're going to find their family and do them harm is at all curtailed. That stuff is going on all over the place. That leads to a culture of exploitation that is now infesting a system that is supposed to help people and is supposed to help them get back on their feet. What do you think about that? Should we get rid of these gangs so that asylum seekers that come here aren't immediately brought into these gangs' criminal operations and exploited? And what do you think New York is going to have to do to get rid of these gang members after the asylum crisis ends? Because even after it ends, New York is still going to be a sanctuary city, and there will still be people here who are still wanted on a federal level, hiding from authorities when they probably
but that guy came to Northgate. That guy came to Northgate and saying me the same.
Yeah, he said he's gonna get his uniform so he throws out.
Yeah, but he can't. He just came from Northgate.
Yeah, keep an eye out on him. He could just go around the corner or snipe or something and start sniping us.
So copy that. But I just want to mention. That's a mess. Just that.
Verbeelding maakt alles mogelijk. IKEA.
Don't worry, but if he comes to Southgate, they'll have units spotting him before he spots us.
Imagine you were sick in the hospital.
You wake up to the whole place shaking violently. Sirens are going off, people are screaming, and you're evacuated to the top floor. That is exactly what happened here. Now, this hospital stands abandoned like many other buildings all around Fukushima, Japan.
I don't like this. I don't look at this. Like, this is like literally where the grudge would be. I just like looking at everyone's belongings and seeing what's actually still here. We are back with another video, and here in Fukushima, well, Steve's not coming today, and Steve's already done this hospital. This is it's the last actual, probably best hospital in all of Fukushima. Well, that's what we know. There could be more hospitals in the red zone, but we don't know. Not sure. But it is a good hospital, and it is in the red zone.
The red zone is based on a 20-mile radius around the nuclear power plant where the radiation is strongest. It is unsafe to cross these areas, and anyone who goes there can be threatened with arrest, detention, and fines.
So it's kind of sketchy that way. Yeah, well,
here Steve is explaining to me how to get to the hospital undetected by the guards who watch the red zone. It's going to be dangerous nonetheless because we have to cross a bullet train track. Bullet trains travel up to 200 miles an hour, so we won't even see one coming while crossing the tracks.
Alright, you guys know the drill. Every morning I gotta go inside a Family Mart, Lawson's, or a 7-Eleven to get a coffee. So today we are in a Lawson, which is very similar to a Family Mart, Japanese-owned for sure brand. At a Lawson's, it's very similar to a 7-Eleven. I'll just do a quick run through. It has all the drinks like 7-Eleven has, but Lawson's versus Family Marts and other places all have exclusive items and different drinks. They'll have maybe different drinks or hot menu sections. Like right here, you can only get these at Lawson's, and you can't get these at 7-Elevens. And they might have a different Starbucks flavor exclusive to 7-Eleven or Lawson or Family Mart. Like right here, this is something I actually I am getting this, I think. This is going to be a good one. See, I couldn't get this at 7-Eleven, but the other one I want to get is up on the menu. I forgot to tell you too. They have fried chicken like nuggets here. That's what I want to get, the iced matcha latte. It's served here, so I don't even have to get this one. Hang on, I'll put this one back and get that one. One thing I want to show you guys too is the vitamins you can get. It looks like space food, and you can kind of pick up certain vitamins you want for energy and stuff. So this is the B12 ones. Actually, this is the one I'm getting. I get every day. It kind of helps me. Where do I get the matcha green tea? They make it over there. You know, nothing like a green tea matcha drink right before we start doing one of the hardest places in Fukushima. This one has a very sweet, kind of like soybean taste, more than usual, but it's not bad. Alright, anyways, let's go.
Did you check?
We stopped on the side of the road because we saw a potential building we would like to explore.
This looks insane. Here's the radiation right now. It's 0.66 pretty much. Not bad at all, but I want to come right up to this and see what this is. Look at this was a monster, some sort of like lab or something. Let's see what this was.
Right, South Gate, how many units is that?
I have no idea.
7
well,
units.
whatever was in here, it's cleared out.
7 units.
It just goes to show you guys that this is what we have to do. We drive around, see stuff, because all this is going to get out and destroyed. What is this?
Laying the foundation.
Time for 3 units.
Town community centre.
Oh.
Yes, 3 units.
Okay. So yeah,
this right here,
like,
see where the guard is? That's where we have to go, and that's the hospital right there. Alright, now we just look.
Send a couple of units north gate, make it equal. I think we got a couple going to north now.
Currently reversing back to hide our car. Let's go. Alright, so the car is there. Coming in the back here. Oh, this is actually an old Japanese house over there. That's their car.
No good, how copy?
Pick up.
Oh, they're all right.
Thank you, sir. How many inside there?
When the guards come, we jump on it. No guards are even gonna get into it. The only thing that can go wrong is unless the guards are inside the actual hospital and we're in there. This soil is all brand new. Sun service laid out. Eventually hoping
that someone's going to move back into that house, or they're going to build a new house here. So it's all been dug up. All this. The soil next to it is still old. But it's not that bad. It's just, you know, they get as much as they can. They don't increment big fucking squares each time. The reason the soil is being dug up in this place is because it is contaminated with radiation. So the workers here dig it up, put it into big bags, and ship it away into landfills. Yeah, boy.
That's all I think.
That's what you gotta do, bro.
Okay. Crazy. Completely.
Cover up the reading guys. So you just open that door.
Yep.
And just go straight. Find that fence, come up the hill. And literally just go straight. You'll see like a little driveway in the woods.
Alright.
Follow it to the hospital.
Alright, bro.
Alright, boys.
Let's get it. Let's do it. So the thing is, if there's a bullet train that's in the car, it goes 200 miles an hour, if not more, and it's very quiet. So you gotta kind of, it's kind of dangerous. Alright, this is gonna, I'll take advantage of it. Yeah, this is rough. This is gonna hurt, though. It's gonna hurt. Alright, how'd you do it? Because now you're freaking me out, bro. Shit, look at this. Something's up and figure out to get hard. Oh, shit. It sucks. Man. That was the hard bit. Yep. Okay.
What's your copy?
It wasn't that easy.
Could copy send it.
Can you check your minutes?
I will check it.
Oh, Mr. Lightly ada
We're
kuda.
very close. What's that now? Oh, 23. Alright. It's not the end of the world or anything. It's a microfever, so it's going to be high because now we're going through, you know, untouched, never cleaned stuff, and it's restaurant. Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. Like and subscribe if you want more videos. Seriously. Oh, huge spider. Oh, it's not that big. There it is.
Loud and clear, sir. Good copy, sir.
I get a pick up at the pier, I accidentally dropped the guys that got that area.
What's the exact location, sir?
Oh, just come to the pier.
Thank you.
I'll drop a local when I get up there.
I need to place you on the south gate.
How many minutes do you have?
You got only 1 minute. One had a good one.
Alright, I saw around 6 feet at the south gate. Yeah.
2.3. If I'm not mistaken, either every hour you get a tooth x-ray, or it's every 100 hours you get a tooth x-ray. And I think it might be. Well, it's not.
Alright, guys, I'm sending one more unit towards you at the south gate.
It shouldn't be that bad. Just because we're in. It's not bad at all. It's just, this hasn't been cleaned up. That's all. Alright, just checking for colors. Halloween should be right here around the right. Again, I only noticed because the Google's that away.
Hey command, can you watch cards please?
At 10 for show me washing cars.
You didn't say this one.
Nice.
10 piece I'm coming.
Cars are washed.
There are no helis here.
Mason, are you sure you're not getting black heli?
Yes, sir.
What helis are there? Are there absolutely none?
Hi, it's a gang raid, blue color car.
Right, get ready for the blue raid. Mason,
Southgate, it's coming from Southgate.
Stay in the base and get attacked.
You got 3 blue color cars. Don't.
Okay. There's blue raid tonight. Right, get ready for a blue raid. Yeah.
So, Mr. Liam, I cannot see the planes due to black magic. I think you should head pop, sir. Can put here.
We are at alarms.
Oh, I see the heli now.
No need to go any hell now.
Can put.
Just 4 cars entered? Is that all? Oh, 3 cars left already to Southgate. Northgate.
Everyone go to the generators right now.
3 cars left to Northgate as well.
Exited the side gate, so there are new cars inside now.
There's one more car.
Yeah, I think everyone's outnumbered and they're headed out. Unless they're going around.
Are they still in the generators, sir?
Confirm, check these generators and check each and every location.
Firestation clear.
The alarms is clear, no one at alarms.
Check the generators and do main hangar.
Yeah, one of the cars have gone past me. I'm still on foot. I'm just gonna try
Main hangar clear.
I'm gonna stay out of sight in case they try and put me off something.
What's your 1020?
I'm foot headed towards base now because I couldn't put my head in the sky. Yeah, so 2 cars are past me now. So there's not many left. They could possibly be going on Southgate though.
Southgate, be ready. Southgate, how copy? How many units are there with you?
We have 2 and we have one SOST.
10-4, good.
How many gangs in the base?
HBI
10-4,
QLE.
The red car, you are not allowed to enter right now. We should go back.
9.
I don't suppose the unit's able to get a car and put that unless you're really close, but not close to
Alright, SST just entered from Northgate.
Okay.
No, they are late.
Very late. Yeah, just someone on the wrong side of the road lights and signs heading to Northgate.
Zico, where are you going, man?
Lion mode 1020.
So you know North Gate, there's like a tunnel nearby. On the north side of it.
On my way.
Right outside of it. And just if you take me where it is.
On my way. Way out inside. Just
All the places are clear, sir.
Alright, good. Just keeping out from there. Alright, we're heading to North Gate now.
What are the traders get? 94,000 traded nothing and they went out.
6.
They are scared of MD.
So I think so. Then is it 46? 46 minus 6. So 40 until plus 55. Don't even know about rule. But
Alright, just remember Magna is using faster than it is, even if there's no damage on the game.
oh my goodness. Damage of
see one black car main airfield.
I think it's might be the same as well.
C4
Okay.
copy.
Copy yes.
What's your 1020?
I'm on main airfield.
They've got SHP holding the yellow weapons.
I'm gonna stay at Firestation.
Hi Commander, copy. This MG is running me out of view.
So I'm not running the
Thank you.
He enjoys getting run.
It's working. I don't think it is. No, it's Let me put the knobs in here as well.
Dian, you again put that vehicle on the center of the road, bro.
Oh, 6.
On the center of the entrance.
I can't hear a word of what you're saying. This car's loud.
I said, can you ram that vehicle, please? It's in the center of the entrance.
What, you mean the motorbike? Or
Yeah, the
motorcycle?
motorbike. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, this car would just go straight over it. We'll come and try. scouts for 2 hours.
Therefore,
Good job.
Show me taking department.
Log on, please.
Did we had a raid?
It was not a raid. I mean, it was a raid, but there were no.
It was a raid, but no, they all ran. They just
Did they start
Come
with us?
on, dude.
Yeah, it was official raid.
Then forgot.
We got trespassers.
Guys, can you see the department? Troopers at any time. Nice. As actually they came so late and now they are saying troopers at any time. What great.
Is that on your phone? Nope, it's not good enough. Okay,
Jack,
fine.
copy.
Let's find the. Let's find another one then.
Show me readiness for training.
I have so much of those, and there's no ones,
Jack, how copy?
Same thing. Well, also
That's
gonna
one to
be this
APC,
one.
137 requesting permission to
So
take up
one
the last report to get some repair kits.
Jack, how copy?
That's one to ATC, 137 requesting permission to take up the last report to get some repair kits.
So how many units you have?
Yeah, I have people and members. I want to talk to you.
Move it.
Jack.
No
It's not
response.
working
Waiting
either,
for
so
information briefing.
I guess it's
Liam, can't hear you
doomed.
properly, man.
Just don't. No, that will never work. Well, you know what that means. Just if I
Alright, sound good. How copy?
use the keyboard and
Southgate, how copy?
Yeah, the one that was talking, please cough drop.
Does anyone know if the thing where you went into a certain area and it turned you into a police or a
Can you
zombie is
cough drop,
fixed?
please? Mr. Training Officer, can you cough drop, please? That's great. Thank you.
It's not working whatsoever. It's not working with me. And it. So 102.